I thank you very much, but I concur. If you're in Cleveland, check out EC3. I went to a seminar, by the way. Hello, Jason.
Hello, Jason.
Not ignoring anybody tonight,
Yeah. Yep.
but
Hello, Ibsen.
Ibsen, yes. I went to a seminar that EC3 just did in La Follette, Tennessee, not too long ago, and
Whoa.
yeah, I checked it out. He had a great turnout. He had a lot of great advice to give, great perception of how he sees things, and I think, in my opinion, the mark of a great trainer is somebody who can see the little things and the details, and I think the first few words out of his mouth was, "It is in the detail," and I hear that all the time from people. So um, I had the chance to talk to William Regal last week, and we reminisced a little bit about uh, what it was like back in the 80s, and that was a product of some. You had to have somebody break you in. You had to have somebody who you knew, or you had to know somebody who knew a guy who might know a guy, and that's the way you got in. And these days there's wrestling schools all the way out there, or out there everywhere, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it's all an opinion. It's all the perception of the coach or the trainer. And I think eventually, obviously, the proof is going to be in the pudding. Whoever comes out of your school or comes out of your co-op or academy, whatever you want to call it, or just comes out of your training or teaching, no matter what it is, um, it really is up to the guy, up to the guy or gal who's training, if they're going to be able to adapt and make sense of what they're being told or taught. So there's a lot of great guys out there, and I've seen Rudy Gonzalez teach in San Antonio. Chaz and Rodney Mack have a school also in that area. There's a lot of great guys out there, man, and it's good to see.
Bo, King of Kingsport. I was reminded today how good of a singer Dr. Tom is. Dr. Tom should sing for everybody on the podcast. Are you a singer?
I'm probably one of the best daggum singers in the world today, but I'm not singing for free, Bo. Once you send that PayPal, and you know what the price is, once you send the PayPal, then we'll get a song. But
Now,
there's only two kinds of music I don't like, and that's country and western.
that's Bo's favorite, probably.
Well, that's my point. So I'm not singing any country songs
Yes.
unless they're
Hello,
slow and
Barbara.
sad. Hello, Barbara.
Uh-oh, got some bad news to report, Dr. Tom. Superstar Billy Graham has
Oh,
died. 79 years old. One of the greatest, one of the all-time greats. Superstars passed away. I guess they took him off life support.
well, that's yeah. I don't think that's a shock to anybody, but yeah. Rest in peace, superstar. That's terrible news, but I don't think it was unexpected. So yeah, R.I.P. superstar, no doubt. I met him. I met Billy Graham. I think probably when I was about 15, Houston, Texas, taking pictures and doing stuff around the office. And then later on at WrestleMania, I reminded him of those days. So he was a unique character. Without superstar Billy Graham, I don't know if we would have Hulk Hogan today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Jesse the
sad
Body,
news.
Scott
Jesse,
Steiner. Yeah, all those guys were wanted to be like superstar.
yeah, but he was in bad shape from my understanding, so it wasn't it wasn't out of nowhere.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
R.I.P. Superstar. Man, very, very sad to hear. One of the all-time
yes.
greats, former
Hey,
world
and he
champion.
he was yeah he was instrumental in changing the mindset in the WWF back in the day too.
Yep.
If it wasn't for him, the heels were usually the challengers or transitional champions, and Superstar took the title. And he had that run. He and the Dream had great matches wherever they went, not just in the Garden, but all over Texas and all over the U.S.
Yeah. Yep. And the
Yeah.
infamous Cody promo that he was talking about not that long ago was about Superstar Billy Graham. They took the title away from my daddy in New York City. Was about
Yes.
that Superstar Billy Graham feud with Dusty, which was
Yes, it
awesome.
was. So yeah. That's a shame, but Superstar, rest in peace.
Probably ahead of his time for sure, as Barbara was saying. He definitely was ahead of his time. And the thing to me is, if you had not given it to Backlund, gave Superstar that big run, do you even get the Hogan run, right? Because you almost get like it's very similar, right? If you just kept it on
Well,
Graham, you could keep it on for a long period of time. Maybe you don't get the Hogan run.
yeah, but Superstar was a heel. Hogan was a babyface. Hogan was
Yep,
that time frame. I mean, I think what Hogan was referring to was the way Superstar looked. He looked like that Greek god. He was at first. I don't know if he was the first necessarily, but he was the first in that modern era who looked like that and was the total package. Before the total package. So, and he was so innovative in his promos and he understood how to draw money. He understood how to talk to people and get them in the building. He was entertaining. He was that guy that everybody pointed to and said, "Man, I want to be like him." You know, again, Ventura, Hogan, a lot of guys during
yep.
that era looked at Superstar as the model to pattern yourself after.
Hogan to me is a combination of Dusty and Superstar. You know what I mean? Just the look of Superstar and then the babyface tendencies of Dusty.
Well, growing up in Tampa, and I think anywhere you grew up, especially as a kid, I believe this that the first wrestling you see is the one you fall in love with. Obviously, back in the regional days, and
Yep.
you can't compare them to today, and you can't compare it to what the business has turned into. But you had guys, and I didn't realize at the time, although I knew it was good wrestling for Texas. All the top guys came through Texas, whether it was Amarillo or Houston. That was just part of the natural progression. You might start out in Portland and then wind your way back down to California and over to Texas, into Tampa, and then back up the East Coast. And everybody was keeping an eye on talent because that was the name of the game. So Superstar made his way all over the place. So he's certainly left his mark.
Ibsen wants to know if you ever made it to your school. I'm going to guess not because he didn't travel too much.
No, but at WrestleMania, when was he inducted? When was Superstar inducted?
2004 was the Hall of Fame he was inducted. Yeah,
Okay,
WrestleMania
okay.
20.
Well, we became um, renewed friends back then, and had to make sure he got to the hospital. He wasn't feeling good then too, and we wanted to make sure that he went and he was going to make it to the Hall of Fame induction. But he never made it to the school.
Barbara wants to know, did anyone have a body like Superstar in the 70s, bigger arms than Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Earl Maynard had some pretty good arms. Tony Atlas when he came up, that was the '80s, obviously, but there were some guys, and it was after Superstar. But in the '70s, you had the guys like Earl Maynard, Rocky Johnson, um, who looked similar, but Superstar had that charisma. He had that flash. He had that color. He had everything you'd look for in a superstar. And Superstar Billy Graham, and he was an interesting guy. Not always right, not always perfect, but he was an interesting guy, and so he's been out of the public view for a long time, but he's going to be missed.
I had the opportunity a few years ago to interview him actually, and it was Dusty centric. So we talked a lot about Dusty. Man, he was talking about that feud. It's just awesome stuff. Going back and looking at it,
Well, I
bloody as
think
hell. Some of those matches too.
yes. Didn't he say that Dream was one of his favorite opponents?
Yes, he said
Yeah.
probably his favorite. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. And I remember Ivan Putski saying Superstar Billy Graham was his favorite opponent. So,
Yes.
um, just some guys you get in the ring with and you mesh, and Superstar knew how to work Dream style, and it was similar because they were both. I don't think that either one of them would be mistaken for a Kurt Angle or a great amateur wrestler, but they were
Right.
great performers. They were great money drawing characters. It was a unique time to be in the wrestling business. It was a unique time to be a wrestling fan, especially during the time when TV had been around for a while, but the territories were changing, and just a decade later, it would really change. So, but those guys laid the way, man. They did. They pioneered the road for all of us.
Tony's saying, I swear, Hogan and Flair are going to outlive us all.
Well, I don't doubt it. I mean, how old the superstar you said was 79?
79. Yep.
Okay, well, Flair is like 74, and
Yep. Hogan's going to be 70.
Hogan's going to be 70. So, uh, none of us want to see our heroes get old, but at the same time, it happens to all of us. So, every time I see a picture of Flair from the 80s, I go back to that time. I've been watching some stuff on The Who. You know, Roger
Wow.
Daltrey, Pete Townsend, and Keith
Yep.
Moon, John Entwistle. And I'm watching these guys from back in the 70s and watching how the concerts were and how the performances were and what these guys did. And then I watched the Super Bowl when the Who hosted the halftime Super Bowl, did Bob O'Reilly. And just the evolution. You know, everybody gets old. Roger Daltrey still rocked, and Pete Townsend rocked, not as hard as he did in the 70s, but you know, it's the same thing. That time, the 1970s, there's no way you could reproduce that. And the concerts and the wrestling and the ambiance, the mystique. And I use this word a lot, but I think it fits here. The gravitas those guys had when they came in the ring, even though there was the hokiest stuff going on even back then, people got into it because it was a great performance. It was a great wrestling match, and those guys didn't treat it as anything else. They were living it, and you could feel it. So.
Hey, Jason went to the same high school as Superstar. Of course, he says he attended many, many years later, but that's pretty cool. Same high school.
Yeah. Well, was that Paradise Valley, Jason?
We're going to find out.
I think that.
Can wrestlers be taught the type of charisma like Superstar and Billy?
I think you either have it. Yeah, I think you either have it or you don't. You might be able to mimic it, and you might be able to, but you have to. And I think once you're able to do that, you had it all along. Is my point. You have to have it inside you. You have to know, have to have those performer genes, performer's ego. It's got to be there with you. You might be able to find it and copy it, and fake it till you make it type thing. But charisma's Phoenix, perfect. Charisma's one of those things you either, in my belief, you either have or you don't. You know, you either have stage fright or you don't. I was watching I went down a rabbit hole all this week after watching class or after teaching class, excuse me. Some Elvis stuff and just watching this guy and from where he came from. You know, just a guy from Memphis, Tennessee, or just a humble country boy, just a humble kid coming up, wanted to sing, and he turned into this massive star. And you could just see that yes, he has humility, and yes, he has grace, and yes, he treats people with respect, and yes. And then you just know by looking at him, same thing with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson knew how to treat people. He knew how to be humble. He knew how to have that humility. At the same time, he was running the show, and he knew what he wanted done, and he was the boss. Elvis was the boss. Hogan was the boss. Superstar, when he was the champ, he was the boss. So those guys had that intuition and that feeling and that charisma, and nobody had to tell them to do it. They understood how. And I'm sure there were some coaches. I'm sure there were some guys who gave them pointers, no doubt. Nobody does it on their own, but without that belief and that confidence, you're not going to do it at all.
Rest in peace, superstar Billy Graham. Barbara says said Andre gave him arthritis from all the arm wrestling matches.
Well, well, I'm not going to say superstar when I stretch the truth a little bit because there is a little bit of this. It's like making lasagna. There's layers of kayfabe in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You ever made lasagna? Have you ever made
Yes.
lasagna? Yes. So you know the layers. You know how tedious it can be.
Yes.
Right.
You got the pasta, then the cheese and the sauce, and
Worth it. Yes.
Anthony
Did I enjoy
Heroes and Legends?
Yes. Did I enjoy Heroes and Legends? Yes, I did very, very much. Going to those things, especially now at this point, I ran into some old friends. Sue Young sat by Wolfie D, had a good time. I'm doing Wolfie's podcast tomorrow morning at 9, by the way.
Oh, Wolfie, nice.
Yeah,
love Wolfie. Yeah, he's the man.
D.
Yep.
Yeah, and we had a great time. Sue Young in all her
crazy
makeup.
Yep.
Yes. And as I'm talking to her, I'm looking and I'm going, we're talking about old times, but I'm looking at her face, I'm looking at the makeup, and we're having a nice conversation. And I'm thinking, I'm talking to a demon here, and where else could I do it but a wrestling convention? And it's a normal thing, and it's so cool to have that still go on with people like her who go to that extreme to go ahead and put the makeup on and be Sue Young and be what everybody wants her to be. That's what it's for. And I talked to a lot of nice people there. It really was a lot of fun. It was really cool. Jason Maples did a great job.
Where are we here? Scorch says Michelle Billington, Dynamite Kid's ex-wife, believes Dynamite Kid belongs in the WWE Hall of Fame with the recent change in ownership. Maybe Tom Billington, aka Dynamite Kid, will be inducted.
Well, once again, I think with everything Dynamite did in his life and his career, he certainly belongs in the Hall of Fame. Whether he'll get there or not is up to the powers that be. But yeah, hopefully he will.
MH, I love you, Billy. Billy, you will be missed. Barbara is saying Dick the Bruiser said superstar Billy Graham was bald because he ripped all the blonde hair out of his head.
Yeah, well, I would see Dick the Bruiser saying that. I can understand Bruiser taking credit for. Bruiser probably took credit for the resurgence too, even though he's nowhere near her. But there you go. Sounds like Dick the Bruiser.
Take credit. Sean says, Dr. Tom, it's been years. All of us here at PWKGW, people who know good wrestling radio, are wishing you all the best. Sean Miller.
Sean, thank you very, very much. It's been years. You're right, man. So, and the years keep going too. We can't stop it.
Changing gears, changing topics here. Unfortunately, I had to deal with another death, but this was 21 years ago. Actually, just about 21 years ago tomorrow. Davey Boy Smith, the British Bulldog. Speaking of Dynamite Kid, his tag team partner, former tag team champion with him of the British Bulldogs, just became the British Bulldog, of course. But Davey Boy Smith passed away. Crazy, 21 years ago. My God.
21 years. It doesn't really seem that long. But I will say this. Davey was an interesting guy. Being around Dynamite for all that time, I think certainly influenced him.
Rubbed off.
And rubbed off on him. And I never had any problems with Davey, never had a cross word with him at all. Went to the gym a couple times with him. And everything was cool, but I've seen Davey do some crazy stuff. And one time on a tour in Germany, we've talked about the hair shaving in the bar before, but you remember Metrex?
Oh yeah,
of course. Well, it used to come in pouches. You just tear it up. Okay. Well, we were on the bus, and the guy who I guess ran the tour had fallen asleep, and Davey had, I don't know how many pouches of Metrex, but just kept pouring them on him. Yeah, like a mountain. And he didn't budge. he didn't budge, and it got to be where he just made a mountain of metrics. And Gurria finally said, "Davey, enough's enough." I mean, Gurria just sat there watching him do it,
Yeah, yeah.
but finally he said, "Davey, enough. It's enough." And Davey looked at him and said, "I've cracked." You know, those German tours sometimes, the European
Yeah.
tours could be brutal. And but overall, Davey, I think had a good heart. Davey was a strong guy, no doubt. And I had some well, when we were together, I had some fun times with him.
Nice. Ibsen says, when was the first time you met him? Was he skinny or was he jacked already?
No, he was jacked. I met him when we went to WWF the first time, and he was cool, but he was jacked. He was one of the strongest guys. You know, Ryback's a strong guy, but Davey was pretty damn strong in his own right. One of the strongest guys in the world, I think, at that time, probably.
Bulldog was one of the most agile and entertaining powerhouses in sports entertainment.
Chicago Bulldog?
I think he means he's Lonnie from Chicago, but
Oh, okay.
maybe, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
agree with
was.
you.
He was. Yeah, he was agile. He was entertaining, easy to work with. He was light, easy to work with, and you know, could be dry, humorless, funny type kind of guy. But yeah, I didn't go out too many times with him, but when I was with him, we had a blast.
Going overseas, did Davey ever take you around to England to his home, his house?
No, no, those tours. I think from what I remember, back then there wasn't a lot of downtime. I mean, it was get on the bus and ride, go to the next town, and we got our food and everything that day, that night. And then we go back to the room and eat, drink, and be merry. And then do it
Like
all
that.
again the next day. There wasn't a lot of downtime for touring and stuff or sightseeing. Let me say that back then.
Barbara, Davey, amongst others, made some off-the-cuff remarks when the Shockmaster fell through the wall in WCW.
On the air, yeah, I think, yeah.
Yes.
Well, as rightfully so. I mean, it's live TV. What do you do? What I remember when that happened, I just remember somebody saying, "Oh God," and I thought, "Yeah, oh God, what do you do though? It's live TV." And somebody said, I don't remember who it was, that whoever the voice was started laughing as soon as that happened, and he couldn't talk. So that's why it took so long before the voice came on. After the Shockmaster got his gimmick, put it back on, and stood up, there was a moment of silence. And then somebody says, "Hey, this is a Shockmaster," or whatever he says. I don't know.
Ole
Try to put
Anderson was the voice.
Holy,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Oh, he was probably laughing.
Oh
Yeah,
god, it's funny though. He turned that into a positive Shockmaster though. Like they still make dolls, but when they put the doll in the action figure, excuse me, when they put him in the case, he's upside down.
of
So like,
course.
yeah. So at least he's having a good time with it.
Yeah, yeah. It's like Titus O'Neil sliding into the battle royal and goes under the ring. I mean,
Yeah.
they made a T-shirt out of it.
Yep. Yep.
So
Just got to roll with it. Davey would say that Big Van Vader would never wash his clothes and he would not drive with the big man.
the worst thing you can do is not take a shower or wash your stuff. So I could see why Davey would say that. Davey didn't want to be around that stinking stuff. Don't blame him. Nobody does.
Heard that a few times about Vader. Shawn Michaels complained about Vader as well.
Well, then Vader should have got the hint. And well, first of all, he should have got the hint before he got there and washed his stuff and stayed clean because it's a contact sport. Nobody wants to have that funk on you. I don't want to have it on me. It stinks.
Rio, he's saying in Dynamite's biography, he mentions his aunt, Davey Boy's mother, was complicit in getting a cease and desist to stop Dynamite from using the British Bulldog gimmick in the UK. Do you know anything about that?
I know nothing about that. So, I mean, I really can't talk on that. I never heard that. I don't know, but that's between them. I have no idea. And neither one, Davey or Dynamite, are here to say yay or nay.
Phil saying Dr. Scott Connolly of Metrics fame would have been upset at the Bulldog for pulling that trigger.
For wasting it,
Yeah.
probably, but that's about it. I mean, Davey, I think the boys were getting it gratis, free.
Yes.
I think back then.
Barbara wants to know, did Davey shave Outback Jack's head and glue his hat while he was passed out?
That was before I got there, but uh, there's a possibility. You know, I can't confirm nor deny, but I wasn't there. I wasn't even there.
Right.
That's a famous saying that the boys got because Davey would get blamed for everything. And he goes, I wasn't even there. It was Owen. I wasn't even there. I was in the next town. Yeah.
I love that those two, which would even just Davey himself, though, would just pull these pranks on people. You know, they're bored or whatever. You know, they just constantly pull.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's once again, I don't think that culture uh, will or can come back because the world's changed so much. But and when I say this, people say, "Oh, you go back to the old corny bullshit bullying ways." Well, I guess if that's the way you want to look at it, okay, yeah, because it was a different business back then, and uh, different people were in it, and that's cool. Different people are in it today too, and it's become what it's become. Some people like it, some people don't. To each his own. But Davey and Owen and a few other guys, it was the way to pass the time. It was a cartoon, and you're living in a cartoon. And what do cartoon characters do? They take out hammers and hit each other over the head with them. They don't die. The coyote runs off the damn cliff. You know, the roadrunner outsmarted in the beginning. He didn't die. He comes back for more. It's kind of like that backstage sometimes, like a roadrunner cartoon. And some was funny and some wasn't. But for the most part, it was being in a different building every night and just enjoying the life you're living, enjoying the journey you're going on. And Davey enjoyed the journey every day, no doubt. We all did.
Did Dr. Tom ever meet Matilda,
Oh,
the dog?
never had the opportunity to meet the pup dog. I met Damien. And I did not want to meet Damien. But yeah.
Lady Kenzie. I don't know if it's Kenzie Page or not. It says very sad that Superstar Billy Graham passed away.
Well, it is sad, but like I said, it wasn't unexpected. You know, he had been in poor health for a long time, but it is sad. I agree.
James Weston, who I'm guessing is British, says eat, drink, and fook instead of
Yeah.
instead of FUCK. I'm just guessing that would be something that Bulldog might have said.
Oh, and GB is
Great Britain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you guys went to the gym, how much did he bench press?
I think it was 849 pounds. I don't know, man. I think
Probably a lot, Bulldog.
Well, I mean, he was warming up with 2.25. So, I mean, whether he had 4 plates on there or not, I don't quite remember. I just remember picking up weights because back then and even today, I don't always look at the weights. I just look at the size of the dumbbells and say, do I think I can do these today? That's all. If I feel like I can put 2 big plates on the bar, I do it. But it was the same thing back then, man. If we were benching or pressing something like that, we put 2 big plates, 45s, and you see a little plate, maybe a 10 or 5 pounds. So let's just put this on, and don't even look at the weight. You just put it on, see if you can do it. You don't even care about it. Let me take that back. I didn't care about it, and I don't think David cared about it back then. We didn't say, boy, we're doing 800 pounds here, which we never did. But a lot of weight's a lot of weight.
Magazine retriever. Davey Boy Smith's injury from the hidden trapdoor at WCW Fall Brawl 98 led to him developing an opioid addiction. Tragically, he was never 100% after that. Yes, that Ultimate Warrior trapdoor from Fall Brawl '98.
Well, yeah, and that that does happen. So, or that did happen. I mean, and gosh, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. But he was never 100% after that.
James the Shockmaster was Typhoon. Yes, that is
That would
correct.
be it. Fred
Uncle
Ottman.
Fred. Uncle Fred.
I
Yeah.
like Fred. I really do. I think he's a nice man. I don't even know if we've ever met, but we sent a couple messages back and forth. His son Berkeley works, I think,
WB.
as a timekeeper. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So
He's got the
Berkeley
Mark
was,
Eaton job. Yeah.
yes, yes. So I might have met him in FCW, but I don't recall. But we have some messages back and forth.
Nice. From Dan. Good evening, gentlemen. Yes, we will continue to be praying for the family of superstar Billy Graham as he is a true-hearted, amazing blessings to our our wrestling history icon. Yes.
He is a huge part of wrestling history and a huge influence on wrestling history on a lot of guys. So when I show things in JPWA or talk about things in JPWA, guys like Davey Boy Smith, guys like Superstar Billy Graham come up because they took it seriously. They understood that this was a cosmetic business, cosmetic sport. You have to look great. You have to do your hard work in the gym and out of the gym as well. And you think about that. You're working at night. Sometimes you have to go 200-300 miles to the next town, get a room, find a place to eat, get up, go to the gym, uh, get ready for the show, and do that over and over again. And to keep that physique, to keep that look, nobody understands unless you've done it. And that takes a lot of hard work. I mean, you can't just, people can talk about all the enhancement they want, but you can't just do enhancement and take the enhancers and look like that. You have to put in the hard work. It's not easy. And both those guys, Davey and Superstar, put in the work.
Craig says he saw Davey wrestle back in the day at the Pavilion. He couldn't even have weighed 200 pounds back then. His matches were way more exciting, he's saying.
Well, I've seen Davey on some video when he was smaller as well. And that's when we're young and full of piss and vinegar. And as you get older and the injuries start happening, then you learn how to work smart. And even if the injuries don't happen, you learn how to work smarter instead of harder. And you're still working hard, don't get me wrong. But you learn when we say less is more, that's not just saying it to bury you guys or bury the young guys. It's to explain you'll get over better if you do it this way, and you'll get over longer if you do it this way. You know, Hulk Hogan had his leg drop, but he had this, which meant a lot more. You know, put the hand to the ear. That's what people came to see, and you know, I've said this many times. I'll say it again. I don't believe anybody's ever left the arena saying, "Man, what a hammerlock John Cena put on tonight." They want to see hustle, loyalty, and respect. They want to see the 5-knuckle shuffle, and they want to see all the cool spots. The people's elbow is one of the most deadliest moves in the business.
Yes.
Simple stuff.
Yes. Doing my best wants to know, Dr. Tom, do you know where Matilda is buried? Thank you.
Yes, but I can't tell anybody. I've sworn to secrecy.
Do you know why Davey didn't bring Matilda or Winston in his second WWF run? Why didn't he bring the dogs back?
I think the puppy dog might have been gone by then. Puppy dog might have passed away before then. I don't know. I have no idea.
Do you put the Wembley match between Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith SummerSlam 92 for your students on at school? Do you play that for them?
We have before, yes. We certainly have before, and they've been impressed. Anytime I put a Bret Hart match up, and especially against a guy like Davey, people are impressed. And I know the story about the match. I get all that, the rumors and innuendo and all that stuff. I get all that, which is even more impressive to me if you want to look at it like that. You want to look at it from a sideways point of view and point, hey, but they did this, this, and this, and whatever. Well, okay, he may have done that, but he went out and he performed like a hell. They had a hell of a match. So
Awesome. Yep.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
And of course, Bulldog got the win there, SummerSlam '92 in Wembley, which AEW is going to this summer.
How
It's a
many
huge
tickets do they have sold now?
65,000. This is the latest. Pretty
Okay,
good.
yeah, it's very
Pretty
good.
damn good.
Yeah.
From Scorch Earth, from Scorch, I'm glad Dynamite and Raymond Rougeau never fought because one of them would have been killed. That's how legitimately tough each one of them was. Yes.
Well, I think everybody was glad of that, and I know again, I never met Dynamite, but I know the reputation he had, and wasn't always a nice guy. A lot of people didn't like him. But yeah, that was unnecessary for everybody. Just it was unnecessary for Dynamite to be doing what he did, but that was the kind of guy he was, and that was again the business was full of people like that, and you handle it one way or another. And Jacques felt that he had to do something, or he was going to lose face, and he couldn't do that. So I'm glad they
And
didn't fight either.
remember Raymond at
Yeah,
this time had tore his ACL. So, I mean, he's there and he's kind of wrestling, but he's kind of not able to physically, do stuff. If you've got in a fight with Dynamite, he's got one leg, so wouldn't be smart.
right.
But he even said, I've interviewed him for it, and he said, I told Jock, listen, you got to stick up for yourself, man. If I end up fighting for you, he goes, you're going to lose total respect. So Jacques had to do things his own way.
Yeah, and that was the way it was back then. You you took care of it. That was the only way to take care of it. It's only one language you understand sometimes. So
Charles says he'd like to see Harry Smith get a solid run somewhere. He's a great guy.
I would love to see Harry Smith get a good solid run somewhere. I really would. Harry, he's got the talent. He
Excellent.
really does.
Yes.
He's got the size too. Yeah.
You know what's interesting? So you've wrestled British Bulldog, and you've obviously a few times. So Royal Rumble '95. There was a Battle Royal soon after that in '95 that you guys were both in together. Then on the Action Zone in April of '95, Luger and Bulldog, aka the Allied Powers, defeated you and Jimmy Del Rey. And then on Monday Night Raw '96, Owen and the Bulldog defeated the Body Donnas. But
Right.
also, you have wrestled with Harry Smith before, interestingly enough, all the way back in '06. So you've wrestled against Bulldog and teamed with his son. Interesting.
Now, was that in Seattle? Where was Harry's?
Yes, the
Seattle, right?
Havoc Haven in Pacific Washington, which is by
Yes.
Seattle, I believe. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. That
and
was.
Bo James was on the other team along with Jack Evans. Believe it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Bo James sabotaged that match.
Well, if he's in it, it's probably a sabotage.
Daggum right.
Yeah.
Daggum right. I think there was some skullduggery in that match.
Phil says, quote unquote, you don't get that way waiting for the bus, as Gorilla Monsoon used to say about good physiques, meaning Superstar and Bulldog and guys like that.
Right. Right. No, you don't. So I mean, they went to the gym and then got on the bus. I know what he means. You don't stand at the bus stop and get muscles
Yes.
like that. Sure.
Yes.
I get it.
Yep. Ibsen wants to know, how was Corny and Davey backstage? Did they genuinely like each other?
I think so. I think Jim liked Davey. You could look. Davey could be very, very charming, and he was. The times I knew him, there were no ribs. Not on me anyway. And but he could be very charming. I think Jim, and of course, look, Jim Cornette can be charming too. I've always liked Jim Cornette, and I think they liked each other genuinely, and rightfully so. If you're going to manage somebody, you want to like them, and David could be fun, and Owen could be fun. So I think Jim was having a great time with both those guys.
Camp Cornette, right?
Yes.
The old Camp Cornette.
Yes.
Silva Surfer, R.I.P. Superstar Billy Graham. Yes. R.I.P. Yes. This is an interesting one from Good Day. Have you all seen the shampoo commercial where the mean girl in the music class gets the deaf man beaten up and sent to the hospital?
I missed that one. The deaf man? No.
There's got to be got to be some sort of joke there. I don't know, but good day. Please follow that up. I don't know what
Yeah,
that means.
please. No, I've missed that one. What shampoo is that? Because I'll make sure I never get that shampoo, or maybe I'll see what it
You know,
does.
we were saying Wembley, they had 82,000 for SummerSlam 92. Stephen Fry was saying 65,000 tickets for AEW without one match even being announced. Impressive.
I will say that is impressive, no doubt about it. Um, what I'm hearing about AEW is there is no. Well, I'm sure there's a direction, but I don't know if everybody's getting the memos, and that's the only thing. But 65,000 seats, I think, would certainly get their attention and want to put on a hell of a show, wouldn't you
Yep.
think? So they're
Oh,
going
you
to bring
have to.
their, yeah, you have to, and you want to bring your guys like Jericho and Darby Allen's Wardlow and Christian, all your heavy hitters. So that'll be very interesting to see. Not a match advertised yet.
Yep. Rio was saying Davy Boy was once sued for injuring a fool who wouldn't stop harassing his wife Diana at a nightclub in Canada. Diana says the case was very stressful. Thankfully, they prevailed in court.
See, that's the problem with going to nightclubs. And yes, after the matches, yes, we would go out because we were on the road. You're living out of a hotel, out of a suitcase. So you do need a little uh, variety in your life. But as a general rule, I don't go out to nightclubs or clubs anymore or places like that because they're nothing but trouble. And you're going to have assholes in there hassling people. And why do I want to put myself out in that? It makes no sense. But back then, there have been idiots throughout the ages who just don't understand. No, thank you. Leave me alone. And if they don't understand plain English, well, then you have to give them another language. Davey was very adverse, or very versed, not adverse, but he was very versed in the language of, how about this? Let me punch you in the face and see if you get it.
Hmm. Good day is following up a Thai language commercial for Pantene that is 4 minutes long. Interesting.
Well, I have missed that, but that sounds like something I would certainly, if I saw it on the description that forming a commercial and the girl gets a deaf guy beat up, I'd have to watch that.
Oh, and R.I.P. superstar Billy Graham.
Of course.
Steven is saying he has a fair show in July and he started counting his tickets.
Well, how many do you have, Steve?
Yeah, do you have 65,000? Is this a
Yeah, do
big
you have
fair?
65,000?
Yeah,
Yeah.
is this going to be like Wembley? Let's find out from
And
Steven.
why haven't I been invited? Haven't I been invited to be on that show?
Yep, I agree.
Just kidding. I don't want to go to the show, Steve. It's a rib.
No,
Okay.
Steve, hook him up. Doing my best, says Dr. Tom. Do you have a favorite gimmick match?
Wow. Um, either a Texas death match or an Alabama death match, Alabama street fight. One of those. Got to have a gimmick match. That's got to be my favorite gimmick match.
What about bull rope match?
Bull rope match was always good. Indian strap match was always good. For the most part, chain matches were good too. I like the blood and guts. It's another thing for people to get upset about. Blood and guts.
Steven, he's back. He says, I have a fair show in July, started counting, and I have at least 7 students from JPWA. Wow.
Well, how about that? There you go. So,
Magazine is saying supposedly the reason Shawn Michaels got beat up by the Marines in Syracuse is because Davey wouldn't help him due to the pending litigation from the nightclub incident. Interesting.
well, I don't know if that's the case either because only those guys know for sure. And only those guys know if it was 4, 14, or 44, or even just one. Only they know for sure. I mean, there's always going to be questions about that night. So yeah, but whatever happened happened, and yeah, for whatever Davy's reasons were, but I don't think that's it.
Mitch is saying, wasn't Davey with Michaels? Yes, yes,
Yes, he
supposedly
was.
so. Yeah, yep.
Yes, he
Steven says,
was.
thank you, Tom.
Steven, where is your fair show?
Yeah,
That
we
you
got to
didn't
find
even
out
mention
where
where. Yeah, you didn't even mention where it was. We could plug that.
Nope, nope, he didn't. Random
Well,
question here from Matthew: have you ever worked with Scott Levy, aka Raven?
you know what? I've been when we went to WWE or WWF the first time. He was transitioning to be a manager and on-air personality. I think interviewer. So no, I never got a chance to work with him.
Steven's back, Jefferson City, Tennessee.
All right then. So you have a fair show, and we can plug that. I don't know if anybody from Jefferson City is listening, but if you are, why don't you hit a message up right there in the or hit a comment up in the message section right there. Let us know you're from Jefferson.
Charles here has a great gimmick match, maybe the greatest gimmick match of all time, and I forgot about this one. Judy Bagwell on a pole match. Remember that one in WCW?
Yes, I do, but I don't think Judy's with us anymore. So yeah, that would be a tremendous. Yeah, that was probably.
Technically speaking, it was a forklift, though. It was Judy Bagwell on a forklift match. But yes, I did.
Yeah, semantics. Yeah, what are we arguing over? Judy was up high. You had to go get her and bring her down, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Oh,
good
Barber's got
for
a
him.
good one. The old Weasel suit matches like Bobby the Brain Heenan had. Yeah.
Nice, nice. I like that one too. I liked when Paul Bosch used to have do an angle with a manager, or he did an angle with the Great Malenko in Houston, and Paul would have a gimmick match that says, if he could last 10 minutes with Malenko, uh, he won the match. So anyway, uh, any
You got
yeah.
distracted by Bruce right there. All right.
How'd you know? Yeah. Anyway,
Ibsen says, hope you make the WWE Hall of Fame next year in Philly so that me and John can cheer you on. Meaning me and him.
hey, Ibsen, that's a nice thought, but don't hold your breath. Yeah, it's a good deal.
Ray says, your time in Southwest Championship Wrestling. I guess that's what
Oh,
Ray enjoyed the most.
I enjoyed it, man. I really did. I had a blast in Southwest. That was a lot of fun.
Scorch says, I asked Dynamite Kid's daughter, Bronwyn, if she ever read her father's biography. She said she read it once and it made her cry.
Oh wow. Well, yeah, it would make me cry too. But
He's got two beautiful, seems like very I don't know, very professional focused daughters. Like, I don't know, for some reason Dynamite, he had a bad reputation, but his family and his kids are very they're
well,
straight and narrow, if you
I,
will.
I think if you grow up around chaos, some people will gravitate to it. Some people will get away from it. We all have our picadillos when we grow up, and things that we remember, and some things we try to block out of our head. But I think Dynamite was so intense that I think I can understand why
Yep.
you'd want to go a different direction.
Barbara saying, how could you forget the Coal Miners Glove match?
Because I have no excuse, Barbara. You're right, coal miner. I was a champion of the coal miners glove match in California. That's right. How could I forget that?
Steven says, what is your opinion on the infamous Plan B video from Knoxville?
Well, I was originally taken aback by the people who did it because the people who did it. Are you familiar with the Plan B video?
Oh yeah, I actually talked to Ron Fuller about it not that long ago.
What did Ron have to say about it?
So they were trying to kill the territory, trying to kill the business. They would have really hurt the business had it come out, but he was shocked by it because he didn't find out about it till like years later. So when they were
Right.
doing it and putting that together, he really wasn't like that involved, or he wasn't that up to what the hell was going on. But those guys were trying to steal his business and kind of destroy the business. But
Well,
Bob
yeah,
Bob Roop maybe not so surprising. He's supposedly the ringleader of it, but Ronnie Garvin was surprising. Boris Malenko was shocking. Who's the other?
Ron Wright.
Ron Wright and Bob Orton.
Yeah, yeah.
Shocking that those guys would be in it.
That
Yeah,
that's the part that amazed me is those guys were a part of it. Roop I kind of got
yeah, yep.
because he was disgruntled anyway, and he came from that amateur wrestling mentality. But I thought it was for the time pretty shocking, and I think it would have hurt business if it came out back then. But thank God it didn't. But here in Knoxville, let a few years go by, and people still want to see some good old wrestling. You know.
Yep.
So I don't know if they. I don't. The business was killed for a little bit when Garvin took Ron's boat. I'm sure you discussed that when you talk to Ron. Okay, when Ron won the battle royal and supposedly, okay, hey, I need my keys back. I need the boat back. No, I won the battle royal. Well, no, you didn't. Well, yeah, I did. You going to tell 5,000 or 10,000 people I didn't? Well, as a matter of fact, you did. So, that was a little shocking in itself, but that was the way those guys were operating back then.
Yeah, that definitely hurts the kayfabe, right? I thought you really won it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, for a while it was down, but, it's come back up here and there. And if you put on a great product, look, SmackDown just did record business here last week in Thompson Bowling Arena. Great crowd. They were hot for everything.
Yep. The
So if you
return of
put on,
Roman Reigns. Yeah.
yes, you put on a great product, they'll come out and see it. I think that's anywhere you go.
WWE's pretty hot right now. They're doing a good job.
Yeah.
That guy Roman that you know a little bit, he seems to be doing pretty good as champion.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Doing
Coming
very
up
good.
on 1,000 days as champion.
How long did Bruno have it?
2,803 or something like that, but I know it's over 2,800.
Right. Okay, in a different time frame, different culture too. So this is a good deal. I like the long reigns. I like the champions who own the titles for a while. And
It's interesting because he could catch Pedro Morales pretty soon because I think his was 1,015, something like that. So he can pass Pedro, which you would never think you're going to pass 1,000 days in this day and age. Then the next guy is Hogan at 1,400. Then Backlund is like I think 2,400, and then Bruno is like 2,800. So I mean,
right.
I don't know if he'll go that far, but I mean, even to catch Pedro is going to be crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's. I always liked when it was longer because when he finally does get beat, then it is shocking. Then it means something, or it's like holy smoke, this guy got him. So
Yeah.
I think it's a great thing.
Mitch Miller wants to know Dr. Tom's headlock pick of the week. Is it going to be the AC3 versus Thrillbilly Silas Mason? Do you want to make a prediction on that match? Maybe make that your lock of the week? Since the EC3, we started talking about him at the top.
We did. EC3's been a champion for just a short time now, but yeah, watch that match. I think it's gonna be a great match. I don't know if the Thrillbilly's gonna pull this one out. I really don't. But those are two guys who have EC3 is a little more experienced than Thrillbilly, but Thrillbilly's been around for a few years now, longer than you think. But and he's got talent, and he knows how to play the game, and I'm talking about in the ring. He understands what to do and when to do it. So it's going to be an interesting matchup, and I think he's going to push EC3 to the limit, which is good for him. Whenever uh, Eric Carter III is under pressure, he does very, very well, and I've noticed that a few times with him.
Ethan Carter the third, Eric Carter.
That's what I said. I meant Ethan or Eric Carter. I'm trying to be smart here, and I can't even think. So there you go.
Barbara wants to know, where can we get the book?
Barbara, thank you so much. That book right there you can get, by going to jpwrestlingacademy.com. Just click on the training tab at the top of the page. That book right there will come up. Go to jpwrestlingacademy.com. Also to find out about our summer session, which is going to happen. It starts July 3rd, right before the 4th. The 4th of July is a big thing here.
Yes. Jason, thank you, Jason. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. Check out the website, tmptempire.com. You can follow Dr. Tom on Twitter at Dr. Tom Prichard. Dr. Tom, what else you got going on in this crazy?
I'm working on something very, very special, trying to get a very special guest on this show and see what I can do about that, see how I can entice him to maybe come on and rekindle the friendship with this guy. And I just wonder if I can talk him into coming on this show and expound on his career. This guy's done a lot of cool stuff. And so that's what's going on, man. JPWA is rolling along. This is our, 6th week. Next week will be the 7th. So these guys have graduation on June 17th. So we're working hard on that, and everything's wonderful.
Just one last thing from Ibsen here. Do you think Davey Boy was the best British wrestler ever? I'll go, to be honest, I love Davey Boy. He's awesome. I got to go Dynamite Kid.
Ooh, yeah, Dynamite was pretty damn good, too. But Davey is certainly ranked up there as one of the best. Certainly one of the best ever. I will give him that.
All right. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. We'll be right back here next week for a little Take It to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. We'll see you next week, folks.